their choice or their expertise. So stay updated with the group, and we have some well organized schedule coming up for future. So let's just jump into the speaker today, Dr. Mrityunjay Bhuiya. He is currently a lecturer in Department of Physics, University of Malaya. He did his PhD from Sambalpur University in 2013 with Professor Tushar Rautre and Suresh Kumar Patra. Then he joined. Wait. Then he did a postdoc. In Institute of Theoretical Physics in Chinese Academy of Sciences in Beijing, China, and then he joined in Brazil, in Sao Paulo, Instituto Tecnológico de Aeronáutica, and then he joined University of Malaya as a lecturer from last year, and he is currently appointed there. He has written several internationally acknowledged journal articles, and also author of some chapters in the books, and currently a holder of several projects ongoing, and a lot of other fellowships also. I think you'll get to know from his plethora of work from his today's talk. And before further ado, I invite Dr. Mrityunjay Bhuiya to give today's lecture.
Okay, thank you very much, Chiranjeev, for your introduction, as well as to thank you everyone, those who are participating in the webinar talks today. I think everyone hear me properly, right?
Yes, I can hear you. Now I'll mute my machine also. Yeah, we can hear you perfectly fine.
Okay, this is my second talk in the webinar group. Before I have given some talks in 2019 or I think beginning of the 2020 or something like that. I gave him talk on Newton deformability or something, some Newton stuff. So this time I decided to speak something on nuclear, finite nuclei, because as I am working on both nuclear, my PhD is in finite nuclei. Then I switched to do some work in infinite nuclear matter as well. So in this talk, basically it is a talk on fission states of californium and samarium nuclei and cavarium nuclei. So basically here we have the talk like anatomy of neck configuration in the fission states of CM and CF. Okay. In this talk, we have started this work with my collaborators, those who are participating actively in this work. This me, and the next one is my postdoctoral host, Brett Carlson from Department of Physica, Institute of Technology de Aeronautica, South West campus, and is Professor Patra, Institute of Physics, Bhubaneswar, and Rajkumar Gupta. He is no more. He is from Punjab University and Chandigarh. So he is no more with us. And last year, I think maybe the beginning of this year, he is no more. Okay. So he is also. No? Okay, there is some. It's okay, right now it's okay. So these are the things. Okay, all right. Basically, before going to the fusion study, so we have to review some of the articles, those who has make benchmark investigation or predictions on based on the nuclear fusion process or fission process. If you see this article, this is in Nature 2001. This was very interesting article where they first time introduced means different degrees of freedom. Basically, multidimensionally they present the nuclear fission process. Here they have given the 5-dimensionally. So here the dimensional is nothing but it is because it's a dimension in the sense we are talking about the degrees of freedom, that safe degrees of freedom. That means what kind of deformation they have considered in this study. So it is a semi-classical calculations or macroscopic calculations. And this here in this picture you can see there is different kind of pictures is coming, and the nucleus is going to deform. Then they have the steps like to be elongated shape. Then they're going to the fission, and followed by 2-3 minima. You can appear one first minima, which may, if you consider this is a ground state. For example, if the nucleus is of prolate structure or something in the ground state, the first minima is appear here. Then second minima, the third minima. After the third minima, the interesting picture is coming out when we are taking the different deformation. You can see if you are following the blue curve only, then it is the asymmetric one, and if you follow the symmetric one, it is the top. So in case of if you see this blue curve, there is a minima appearing for the asymmetric case, which is not appear in case of symmetric case. That means we follow the same fission path. If you see here, it is almost matching to each other. That means if you take the axial symmetric or symmetric mode, that means axially symmetric means only you can have the prolate and oblate structure and going to dissociate into two parts. Then you have like that. But
sorry to interrupt. Can you make the full screen mode, because things are very small.
Oh, it was not in the full screen. Sorry. I just have okay. That's fine now. So okay. Here, if you see this picture is as well, yeah. If you have, there is three, if you following the colors like that, you have one color like blue, which is asymmetric mode, and the symmetric mode, which is dotted line. So up to second minima, there is no change, because if you going to the ground state and other, but also in this, there is some articles by the, in the atomic data molecule, there is few nucleus around 56 or 72, I not remember very properly, but this nucleus have some triaxial shape in the, also in the ground state. But if you are going to the more minima, like more excited states, which is followed by the fission process or something like that, then you can see there is different of minima we can appear, and that minima corresponding to one of the states. And here you can say this is the fission point. That means the first initial stage of fission will start. But in case of the symmetric case, it is going to be a higher minima, and we can get a barrier which is higher as compared to the experimental values as well, if we have the experimental data. So there is separating rings and reach and other. There are many things they try to put off in the things, but all the calculations based on the macroscopic calculation, macroscopic semi-classical. So, but still it is a very interesting introduction to the nuclear fission study with many different step degrees of freedom. The same things which happens to be in the state in 2010. And showing that, but there is many papers published on that way, but here is also one of the, here there is the showing different barrier height for the uranium and plutonium isotopes, and here also they considering the CM and CF, so they have find different heights for the barrier heights and barrier corresponding to the experimental data, and how much the deviation with respect to taking the different degrees of freedom. But most of the cases it was found the same degrees of freedom going to play a role, which is not, maybe you cannot very strongly dependent, but still after the second minima there is a that the effect of self degrees of freedom is too high. The third, it is very interesting. Before whatever I have seen these two papers, which is corresponding to based on the semi-classical or macroscopic and microscopic calculations. But if you go into this paper, this one is totally self-consistent calculation, and this model is known as multidimensionally constrained relativistic mean field model. So basically, it is a multidimensionally constant covariant density functional theory. It is written here. Basically, this model is nothing but it is containing the same relativistic mean field Lagrangian, but constraint it is expanded over the R. And it is the expansion is also self-consistently. We are not putting any parameter from our hand. And this is the, one of my postdoctoral host. He is one of my postdoctoral. Hello? Is there any problem or anything? Everything all right?
Yeah, everything is all right. Somebody joined and he had his mic on. That's why some noise came. It's okay now. No, it's okay now.
Then Here, there's in this calculation, is a microscopic calculation. They see that this is the first minima in the ground state, you can say. But here we have appearing one minima near to the zero, or maybe near to the little oblate structure, maybe around zero or maybe little minus. So this is the ground state. After that, when they taking the different degrees of freedom, they found different of structure is appearing. So here it is like asymmetric, axial symmetric. That means the taking octopole deformation, hexadecapole deformation. Because here they have the freedom to take many kind of deformation, and they can constrain in different angles to see different information corresponding to that. But more important thing is that even if you are taking the differential, here the barrier height and its width differ from each other. So these are some of the important features of nuclear fission study we have at present. So let's see what I have to do. So even if there is many information we have from last few decades, but still it is very interesting at understand the fundamental level. Actually, whatever I talk here, all are about the barriers and barrier height and what is the fusion barrier corresponding to that, what is the minima and other things, everything. But if you see the first picture, even also in all the papers you can see, there is a neck producing. So here my study is more concentrated in the neck as compared to the other. And I try to find out what is the influence of the neck and what is the constituent of the neck in the fission process. And of course, here I have not going to more details of the shape structure or shape structure of the nucleus or other. I have more concentrate on the neck region only. So I have to go basic things what we have to consider in my models because most of the nuclear physics is starting with some models. So we start the same things that we have to start with some model. That is, my models here is relativistic mean field, the same things. And here we have also done for two types of things. Like for example, I take for DDMT1, DDMAY, density dependence, as well as for the relativistic mean field with the point coupling like the NL3, NL3 star or all these times, and G2, G3, IOPV1, recently developed by the IOPV people. There are many members in our group also, and that way. So here we have to take many things in your model. This should be satisfied. So I have to take a reliable model who can produce the cell structure. Pairing correlation should be there. That is band, mean field activities, and the deformation, shape, degrees of freedom. And you have to consider the isospin because all the things what is the evolution in the cell, pairing correlation, nuclear deformation, everything comes when there is a isospin asymmetry come to play the role. And this is also one of the important phenomena in nuclear matter and neutron stars too. So that means in a model, if we implement the Newton isospin asymmetry properly, then we can have better results. So in such cases, and also when we are moving in a nuclear landscapes, when the neutron-proton asymmetry going to increase, then we have the many effects we can find to see. In the finite nuclear, there is many things like nuclear halo, island of stability, island inversions. In the intermediate region, it is more interesting phenomena now for the study, like that. So let's start with this. My study is to determine the neck anatomy of fission state of CF and CM nuclei. I start with the relativistic mean theory. All people know about this. I think no more time I have to spend here. So it contains sigma field, omega field, and rho field. And here we have also considering like more other fields you can, but I am starting with the very simple relativistic mean field Lagrangian, because if you see all the relativistic mean field parameter, then you can see the NL3 and NL3 stars, even it is a point coupling and other, which is going to produce the relativistic mean field data for the binding energy and charge properties like charge radius, deformation, and everything in the bulk properties of the nuclei, you can say. So these are very well as compared to other parameters. So I am starting with the very basic things with the coupling parameter. Maybe the results can be little bit, I think, very partial, very minute, depend on the first parameter. But we can start with that. Relativistic Lagrangian, I think so all are familiar with it. This is sigma field, then we have the omega field and rho field. There is the self-coupling sigma fields here. Then we start with this. This is the electric fields come from this, and all these things I think everyone know very proper way. Then from this Lagrangian, what it do? That means its contents like whatever I already spoke to you. And there is also T2, T3, and this is the nonlinear coupling, which is more important for the nuclear matter to reduce the compressibility and other in the new relativistic mean bulk models. Everyone know all these things, right? So I start with that. Then there is many kind of models we have, but I have taken here NL. So from that, what we do in the calculation, basically the calculation follow few steps. Those who are using the relativistic mean bulk models or Scar-Marty-Perk models, self-consistency calculations, they know all that. We have to define an initial deformations in the beginning, that in the input. Then we have to follow the ground state. But in such cases, we have to, because as we are dealing with the fission state, so we have to see that how much convergence in our solution. That is important for the, because fission states in the microscopic calculations means we have to follow. It is like the liquid drop, the same liquid drop picture of the nucleus can become when we have the higher deformation. That means we elongate the nucleus in terms of deformation. So when we have that things, first we have to check out actually what kind of minimas are appearing in that. So these are the basic steps we have to follow. We start solve the equation self-consistently by using the initial deformation. But here, as we are dealing with the fission states, so basically what we do, then we have tried to find the convergence solutions. The convergence solutions from the ground state, if you take the NB, that is the box size or ball barrier, like that boson cell or a fermion cell you can sell, or we have simply pick the box size of the fermion and bosons like that. So if you fix, you put a initial deformation and try to run, and it varies this number, because you have to see that how much convergency we are facing, because if the box is sometimes the number of a boson cell or a fermion cell is less or higher, then we have the calculations maybe vary with long. Varies significantly. So in such cases, we have to find out which convergence solutions is appearing in our solution. So we do the calculations for different, varying the, we put NB is equal to fixed like 20, then we vary the NF from 13 to 24, and to try to see the calculations for the each binding energy. You have to note down, and from that binding energy, we try to see that how much dependency on the in this box size. Then we find the ground states corresponding to this number is very less. It is 0.004%, and in the binding energy, and 0.002%, which is even it is a little value, but it can be okay, because that means we get the solution, converge solutions for the ground state at NB is equal to 20 and NF is equal to 20. So for the fission state, this variation is a bit higher, and also even also if you take the the number like 20 around 16 or 24, because fission state need more, because as the nucleus is deformed, then the nucleus need more space. So in such case, we have to increase the fermion major cells and also boson major cells. So here we do the calculations for 2024, and we also we find the dependency is 0.04%, which is a big number. Because why this big number will come out? Because as we are as our present calculation limited to actually deformed cases, so that's why the variation in this fission stage depends like 0.4%, which is mostly depends on the safe degrees of freedom. So that means that is the limitation of the present study. All right. So here the calculated data I have given. So because we do not have the data for the other excited states and different things, so here I have putting some of the information what we get. For example, if we're going to 242 cm, so then the binding energy corresponding to that value, like it is very close to the experimental data. You can see it's almost matching to the like in the less than, like it's very much close to the experimental data. Even also for the quadruple deformation, you can see for the ground state. Yeah, but in the same time, we change the deformations to different solutions. These are the static solutions for that, we can say. So then in case you can see there is a deformation, that means I will appear a minima at 0.09, and there is also appear a minima at 2.113 and also 5. So if you see this one, this curve, I want to show you this here. And more details you can find in this paper. This one paper is published last year, in the end of the last year, like that. So here, if you see this paper, you can see there is a formation of nucleus. These are the potential curve which is obtained from our model, and these are the few nucleus I have shown here: 242 cm and 246 cm, 250 cm and 252 cm. So if you see here, we have the ground state which is here and which is almost spherical in shape, and the deformation is around very little oblate shape. Then when we are getting another deformation which is around 0.9, so here nucleus is going to start deform. Then in the third deformation, in the second minima, after the third minima, see here is also there is a variation here. All the time, many calculation you can find the variation here, but the minima corresponding to the points where we find the solutions always constant. So that's why to calculating the barrier height and other, maybe we need a model which have appropriate results for the very perfect, that means perfect results for the all kind of deformation and other things. But when we are going to have the minima, the most of the times, even if the minima always almost independent of the deformation we have taken. That means the barrier height, whatever I show you in the very beginning, that means how the deformation playing the role in the barrier height. But in case of minima, the minima almost close to the value what we have here, basically. So that's why in my calculations, I do not have more concentrate on the barrier height or whatever the thing, but I have more concentrate on the neck region. So here, the starting, the initial point where the neck is going to form. And then the steps is coming here is around where neck going to break down. That means that is the neck is total in the final step. The nucleus is going to break. That is the last corresponding solution here, which is very high deformation. And the neck is started to form is around 1.2, which is very closely predictions from different model as well as from the experimental evidence. If you can see here, the triangle mark I have given, these are the experimental values for the first barrier height and the second barrier for the fusion, and it is very close to the present calculations. All right. Is there any problem?
Hello?
Yes. Is there any problem? Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
Why constant energy is decreasing with increasing deformation?
Tell me one more time. What is the question?
Can you tell me why constant energy is decreasing with increasing deformation?
So why the energy is going to decrease with the deformation?
Yeah, constant energy. Yeah.
Because when we are going to the excited state, the ground state have the maximum energy, and all the states what we have to find in the next other deformation or other minima, which are the excited state, intrinsic excited state, you can tell, which has the lower value as compared to the ground state energy.
So how do you know exactly the neck? Because you have mentioned two places.
Yeah, because I have to show you the
because without time-dependent Hartree calculation, how do you know this neck?
No, because time-dependent Hartree calculation is it is also the similar process. Because in the time-dependent Hartree calculations, at that time you just put the two nucleus for the fusion study or the fission study, whatever, is the same in the other. Basically, morely they use that fusion study. Basically, the two nucleus, the two potential going to combine each other with respect to the time as a function. But in case of like mean field study, so this is the same liquid depth picture, whatever in the time dependent, we have the solution, that is the constant solution. That means we do not put any stops or any points that we have to constant on that point. We have to start with the very beginning deformation, and we give a range of the deformation where the solution should be appear, and these solutions each minima appears at consistently. It will not because we only constant that each solution should be come at each deformation. That is the thing. When I am going to calculate like a static solutions, Here I have putting some initial deformation corresponding to the nearest value. That means if there is a minima like this here around 2, then my initial deformation may be corresponding value. For example, if I go here, I have to show you. For example, I put a initial deformation 0.4 or something. Then the deformation never reaches to this point, because all the time solution will become like here in the ground state like 0.2 or something. So in such cases, I put an initial deformation which are at around 0, or maybe start from the minus. I can start from the minus, because I also do the solutions from the negative, that means the oblate shape. There is not found any ground state in the oblate region. So I found the ground state in the prolate region. Then I start my calculation, the constant calculation from the basic initial deformation of 0. Then I start to run the programs for the higher deformation. And I have to find out each solution, and each solution corresponding to one interesting excited state, and that energy of course going to the lower value as compared to the binding energy for the ground state.
Okay. So I have another question. For you have mentioned final neck. Okay, so sometimes actually I saw a long back. For example, beta 2 is equal to, let's say, 4.5. The separation between these two liquid, you can say, maybe less. Okay, when you go higher beta 2, the separation of the two liquid is large. So how do you decide this final neck? Because sometimes if you go little bit longer beta 2, the neck size is larger.
Yes, we have to go for that.
How do you decide this final neck?
Okay, I have to go for that. In my slide, you can follow. In the end, you can find. I think so. Okay. In the final, how we determine the neck, and how much means you can say the systematic error or a statistical error for the calculation. You can find everything. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. These are the things. This is the flow of the potential curve, you can say. Okay. All right. Then we have like this kind of solutions, which are also the static solutions are given here. If you see also here, when you have the fission state like that, the nucleus is highly deformed, and also the radius also is, as usual, it is also extended like almost double of the nucleus radius, but is in the ground state. So here, if you see the experimental data for the ground state is also good matching to each other, and this is the neck formation. And basically, the more important part is the third minima, where we are getting, and the barrier. If you take like a different deformation, maybe you can get the barrier height will be improved. In some cases also we find the barrier height not in the all cases with taking the different deformation, the barrier height improves. Some cases also it is going to means more estimate differ from the experimental data. Some examples are also there in the literature.
मिल जाता है कोई ना कोई.
हेलो.
हाँ, अभी उन्होंने दिया नहीं. हाँ, वो दिया नहीं. मैं बात की कॉन्फ्रेंस में. हाँ. तो वो बोले कि आपके कॉलेज से मुझे कोई लेटर भेजा जाएगा वहाँ.
Sorry. I think somebody, I by mistake I switched off your microphone. We cannot hear you, Dr. Hunya. I think by mistake I switched off your microphone. Can you switch it on, please?
Now
yes,
I think everything
sorry.
right?
Somebody was speaking, so I wanted to mute it, and by mistake I did yours. Sorry.
Okay, fine. So I think last discussion with Bharat, everyone listen, right? Hello. Now you can hear, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So these are the different solutions. Because the last discussion I have with Bharat. Bharat has a question. So everyone listen this?
Yes. Everybody listen to it. But we can discuss more when we finish. So if somebody has any question, we can ask you later on also.
Okay. So then this is the things going to, because we have to, because here this is the third minima, where basically all the, even if you see the literature, this is the starting points where the neck going to start. So it is almost a higher deformation, and we try to concentrate on that point. So that what is the next structure? So here, if you see, and here I have noted the barrier heights corresponding to different values. Still, even we have not taken the more degrees of freedom for the shape parameter. Still, we have the calculated data for the barrier height in the first barrier height and the second barrier height. If you see the data wherever available for this nuclei, so these are also very good matching to the for the ML3 star parameter I have given here. So, and it's very good match to the empirical values, which is extracted from the experimental data. So as well. So then the picture, I have to go for here. So if you see here, where is the start? Because if you take the static solutions for at any deformation, then you can find the ground states which look like this. Then when we have the higher deformation, then it will be going to this picture. It's like a elongated start. And if you see here, and the nucleus corresponding to the densities values are given in the right hand side. The maximum density corresponding to the value like around 0.16 to 0.14. It is like a value around the red color, and the blue color is the minimum density we have. So if you see when the nucleus is going to elongate, then the central region have the lower density, and the more value, the magnitude, higher density values are going to the two ends. And the same things also you can see when higher deformation happen, and the two nucleus going to, that means here is the higher deformation around 2, then it's very well defined shapes for the neck. But in case of CM, there is still more deformation needed to have a neck. So this kind of neck will going to form. And in the final deformation, you can see then when the nucleus is almost going to separate each other. And if you see here, the more concentration, again they make the two nucleus with a very good separation, and the blue color, the density almost going to 0. That means they are almost separated. So more important is that we have to study here. That is the neck region. This is the more important part of the study. So here if you see the each corresponding deformation, I have the pictures, and this is the schematic diagram what I have shown you in the potential curve. The first figure is corresponding to the ground state. The first is going to the second excited, first excited, then second excited minima, or it is the last minima when we have the going to deform. So and each corresponding to their densities value. So in the next step, what we have seen shown like this. So that means there is a neck which is clear in the picture, very similar like in the picture for these two here and here in the deformation like 0.16. We have a well-defined neck where we can calculate. So what is the properties of the neck? Basically, that is the more important part of this calculation. We concentrate these are the pictures corresponding to different nucleus and in the final step. Here is the more important. Before we calculate, we have to first we have to see that actually what happening in the neck. If you see the neck structure, and neck is very, because sometimes the questions arise in your model, the nucleus is going to break into two equal parts. So how the neck is affected to this, if it is going to asymmetric or symmetric fission? Because in my model, in the model whatever used here has the limitation that we can only go for symmetric fission. So what is the cases if we go for the asymmetric fission? Then we do some calculations corresponding to in the macroscopic level with my Russian group, which is under process of revisions in the meantime. Because at the time when I do this calculation, at the time we do not have much knowledge that what is the, we are not thinking about this point, that what is happening if it is symmetric and asymmetric fission. But as it is limited to my model, so I do the calculations with the symmetric cases. Then I found that whatever the neck nucleus is coming, it is almost independent of the two fragments. If the fragments are almost equally close masses, that means if a nucleus is A and it is going to break into two parts, and maybe the nucleus has the mass number very close to A by 2. That means each nucleus, the two nucleus, whatever they form, if the nucleus has the mass is equal to near to a by 2. That means someone is like, for example, 100 is going to break. If one is coming like 50, another one is coming like 46, another coming like 56. Then in such cases, because mostly the fission happen like that way. So in such cases, the neck, whatever forming here, which is almost independent of the two fragment for two nucleus what is going to form. That means here I have mentioned this, it is minorly dependent on this. In case of asymmetric fission, the shift, that means what happening really, the things happening like that. In the asymmetric fission, the neck shifted toward the matching fragment instead of changing the neck structure. That means what is the neck structure is that it is a little bit shift toward the matching fragment instead of changing the what is the neck nucleus we have. And here I go for from that neck structure. I try to yes.
Hello, Bhaiya bhai.
Yes.
How you know that this fission is symmetric and asymmetric?
Yeah, fission is symmetric or asymmetric because there is a because in the microscopic calculation there is still some calculations are doing also going to already taken by many people. Also they have some asymmetric fission because in the fission, for example, mostly whatever the fissions we consider in our study, like in the theoretical study, we assume that nucleus is going to break into symmetric fragment or asymmetric fragment. But in the experimental study, we get a real idea that actually the nucleus is a symmetric fission, doing the symmetric fission or not a symmetric fission.
No. And from your previous slide, can you go to the I think slide number 4 or 5? This next. This one. No. This one. Here we can calculate this minima of this all this point like this and this and this, but we cannot say like that this point is symmetric and this minimum all minimums are symmetric, but it may be asymmetric. So how can you know from this figure?
Okay, how can I know? Because if you just know about the relativistic mean field, then when we are going to have, because we have a potential, one potential system, then we try this potential to break into two. But in the macroscopic study, what happened? They define the system for the two different nucleus because they assume the nucleus is, for example, 236 in California. They divide, for example, they have assumed and they calculate the Q value. What is the Q value? Is the Q value for the this Q, not this Q value. This Q value is the quadrupole moment. I'm talking about macroscopic calculation. Microscopic, they find the Q value. From that Q value, they determine which was the maximum probability or possibility to have the fission. Then they choose that fragments for the fission process. They do that, then they generate the potential and they show that how the fission is happening. That is the possibility they conclude for their calculation, which nucleus they have to choose. So in some cases, because in some nucleus, for example, in these cases, if you calculate the Q value, from that Q value you determine which is your actually the nucleus is going to symmetric fission or asymmetric fission.
Okay. Thank you.
So in our cases, we do not calculating any Q values. Maybe in the Q value, whatever they get, we maybe get the same things. But in our model, it is the limited that we cannot go for the asymmetric fission in this model. Basically, why we have to go for that? Because here we have considering one potential and we try to break by the deformation. In their cases, they join the two potential as they assume from their Q values at the probability that the nucleus is going to fuse.
Okay. Thank you.
So, because then another things also here. This is the density distribution. From the density, if you take the two fragments also, you calculate how much number of nucleons are there. From that, you can also know that your nucleus is symmetric or not symmetric. But in the principle, by principle, there must be symmetric in our model.
Is there any probability limit for symmetric and asymmetric fission? Is there any probability limit?
Because if you calculate the Q value, because there is some graphs, I think I have or not, because there is some Q value calculation, then you can you can see, because from the Q value of the fission, that fission energy, that you can find out which one, where we have get the maximum or minimum number. From that we can determine what is the possibility.
Okay, thank you.
And that because, for example, how the Q value calculated like that. For example, if you have a nucleus like A of mass number A, then we divide it into two parts, A by 2, A by 2. Then we try to reduce one, another increase one by fixing the number of neutron and proton, the mass number constant. A by 2, A by 2. Then I take A by 2 minus 1. That means 2 neutron, 2 I reduce in the mass number of one nucleus. Then I increase A by 2 plus 1. Then I fix the constant and calculate the Q value. That means binding energy of the parent nucleus minus binding energy of the two nucleus what is forming. Then we try to calculate, and we find a Q value. That means energy of the reaction. Then from that energy we can determine which one is our possible candidate for the fission process.
Okay, thank you.
This is very basic calculations from the nuclear physics, what we do in our MSc. This is the MSc basic time. For any reaction, we can do the calculations for the binding energy. That is you can calculate by the binding energy. If you have the binding energy, you calculate from that. So that thing. So here we do the, then we have the structure. Then we go for this, and here we have the neck. Then we try to find out what is the deformation of the neck, different deformations, and going corresponding to charge radius, what is the radius of the nucleus at the time, and what is the constituents, how much density contributed in the neck region, that is neutron density and proton density in the neck region. And here is also we have the ratio of the density corresponding to, that means which give you the value how much. If you see here, and the density corresponding ratio between the proton and neutron density almost unchanged. That means it is almost increased little. But here, if you going to the dimension of the neck, Bharat has a question how you determine. Basically, here we determine the neck based on our eye views. Okay, we determine the neck from the eyes. But you can also take more consistent calculation if you follow the barrier height, or more technically you can determine it too. That neck region, if you see, then we do the calculations from the how many proton and neutron in the neck region and corresponding to. Then you have to find here Z neck and N neck all the time it is very close to 1. That means the proton and neutron contributions in the neck regions it is almost 1. That means the neutron number and proton number. That means N is equal to Z nucleus. And we try to calculate what is the nucleus there. And from that you can, it is a simple integration also you can do, or maybe sum over the points corresponding to that area. So then we get some nucleus, and here we find there is a alpha particle, that means helium nucleus coming out from the neck. That means it is not really break into two parts. The nucleus is breaking here along with a alpha particle. So this is the things we found, and this kind of calculations basically maybe need the other model to confirm. So at the moment we have that what the other things is coming out from the next. So here basically when these nucleus are going to break, actually they do not break into two parts, but here also there is some experimental data available for this nucleus, and they have break into, means that they have the fission, but they do not have the fission fragment what the nucleus is coming out basically. So if I have the next structure also not, you cannot find sufficient data corresponding to that. Yes. Is there any questions?
No. I think somebody has joined. You carry on, please.
So these are the nucleus, which are the neck nucleus coming out. So here my conclusion is that we use the relativist mean field theory, then we determine the static fission part, because the Bharat's question is that how you determine. So here we have the static fission part. So in the CDMFT or like the time dependent Hertford calculation, they have the dynamic path for the fission. Okay. So, but it is very general calculation, and well approved that this is the mean field calculation on microscopic level. This is the calculation which generate the liquid drop pictures of the nucleus. by through potential through deformation, by extending the deformation, and also it will give you the information regarding the necks and its constituent. We found there is a helium nucleus along with the fission probe. It's coming out. So more, and we also give some examples like about neutron multiplicity and other. Here we find the neutron and proton number, which is very fixed. That means even the neck is changing. Here if you see, the neck density is different, very different. Even in the higher nucleus, the density of the neutron is higher, very higher as compared to the proton. But still, we have the nucleus is coming out, which is 10. That means the distribution is going, that means the distribution corresponding the neutron, how much the area they cover by that, which is the number of neutron distribution is less as compared to the proton. That means the neutron and proton number, which is bit close to each other, that give you a nucleus which is n is equal to z. That means a helium nucleus is coming. That is important, and more systematic studies needed for that, because we need to more improve in the studies, for example by using the more safe degrees of freedom, and again things also microscopically, if you determine the region, the neck, and if you exactly calculate the range of the neck, and that means the area covered, that means the volume total means area multiply with the density, that volume of the neck, then it gonna be interesting. But in the present calculations, we have taken the neck, which may be error. This calculated value, the helium 4, maybe the error is around. It is mentioned in the paper very carefully. It's around maybe 14% or something. So it is not very accurate in that way. But still, it is interesting to study more systematic. Okay, this is all about the present discussion. Maybe we need to implement the triaxial deformation, maybe include the tensor term and torque term, which are also important for, and vacuum polarization and bend mean field calculation like pairing and other things should be implemented in the model. Then it's gonna be interesting. That's all right. Is there any questions? Can go for proceed further.
Thank you very much for the talk. I think there is an immediate question from Dr. Suresh Kumar. I think he has some problem with the microphone. He just posted it in the chat. The question is, Q value